Hi everyone, my name's Konnor. I'm one of the fourth year medical students at UC Irvine in sunny Southern California. We're going to be doing a micro board style question today. Micro, incredibly high yield for step one. And guess what? Sketchy's got your back. They have a question bank embedded into their service that lets you directly look at sketches after answering the question. Like, it is a dream come true. So we're going to do a question together, something that I find incredibly high yield. And I'm going to be personally honest with you. I hate the topic that this question is on. So we're going to work through it together, okay? We all have our weaknesses. So I always highlight or read the last sentence first. So which of the following bacterial components is primarily responsible for severity of the patient's symptoms? Okay, a lot of micro questions. So one, I know that this is micro, so that's great. Number two, I know this is about pathogenicity or severity of symptoms, not like immune invasion that always gets answered, or like what type of bug is this? Like this is about what causes the symptoms. So that helps me. Now I could read the answer choices. I choose not to because I feel like it biases me too much more than just reading that last sentence. So I skip that portion until the end. So I'm a 19-year-old college freshman living into a dorm. Okay. In the emergency department, as someone going into emergency medicine, this is what I will see the rest of my life. Sudden onset fever, a headache, neck stiffness, and a rash on his trunk and extremities. So with that fever, the headache, and the neck stiffness, I'm already worried about meningitis. Throw in that rash in there, and I'm worried about bacterial meningitis. They're super febrile, they're hypotensive, and they're tachycardic. So this patient is septic. They are not well at all. Someone tapped them or did a lumbar puncture and got turbid CSF with an increased opening pressure, elevated neutrophils, decreased glucose. So I always remember that bacteria and fungi are the only two that really eat the glucose and I say eat, you know what I'm saying, in the CSF. So I know this is, and it already told me it's bacterial, but this just gives me even more so that this is bacterial. They gram stained it and it shows gram-negative diplococci. Now, when I think of meningitis and really anything gram-negative diplococci, Neisseria is the first thing that comes up. So is this Neisseria gonorrhea? No, it's not. It's Neisseria meningitidis. Okay, but that's not what the question asked me. It's, do I know what the bug is? Maybe you don't remember the name Neisseria meningitidis, but you likely remember the sketch, which can help you out. So again, what causes the severity, not the evasion? So a polysaccharide capsule. Neisseria meningitidis totally has a capsule. I remember it. Like covers a malt liquor bottle or something in the bottom left corner. I was going to say capsules don't really do evasion. They do for pathogenicity, not a ton, but this one I can't rule out right now because I do know that capsules help to cause the severity of symptoms. Lipo-oligosaccharide endotoxin, or LOS endotoxin. Well, one, I do remember this from the sketch, but also toxins, typically like the staph toxin, they cause really sick presentations. This patient is really sick. So that one is up there for me too. Type 4 pili, then it's more for like adhesion and, you know, that type of stuff. And like that can be for evasion, whatnot, and it's unlikely. An IgA protease, this one is going to be, you know, for the similar kind of reasons. This helps you adhere and maybe helps you evade immune to some extent, but that doesn't cause you to be super septic with meningococcemia. That's not what that causes. And beta lactamase enzymes, that's antibiotic resistance. Sure, would that, you know, help? Would that be a problem in this patient? Yeah, it would, but not in the context of this question. So very unlikely, 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 and it could either be A or B. Again, I know capsules cause pathogenicity. That's part of that, but I know there's a little letter, a little sign that says LOS, like it says lost and the LOS is capitalized. I know Neisseria meningitidis has this LOS toxin, and especially because it's a toxin, I think this is what's causing our poor 19-year-old's presentation. So I'm going to go with that one. And the reason why I really dislike this question type is there's so many of these things and they have so many different names and they all do different things. Some of them overlap. Just, you know, LOS, LPS, all this stuff, they're so confusing. That's why I personally, you know, find these questions hard, but they're good questions and I'm happy they're in this question bank. It was LOS, like it says here, LOS. And this is the awesome part. It gives you a whole answer explanation, which is more than I could ever ask for. It causes a strong inflammatory response. You get the fever, the hypotension, the shock. They get the rash. So cool. That's all that is. I look, choice A, well, the capsule was my number 2, essentially. So I always look and see why was my number 2 wrong. The polysaccharide capsule helps the bacteria evade phagocytosis, but does not directly cause the severe symptoms. Okay, so evasion doesn't cause perfectly severe, like the super severe symptoms. Great. Choice C, the pili are for adherence. Got it. I said that. IgA protease, they can colonize surfaces, but it doesn't cause this immune response. And then, like we talked about, the antibiotics. Now, I cannot overstate to you how much and how important Neisseria meningitis is on step 1. Both Neisserias, the gonorrhea and the meningitis, are incredibly important. So going through the symbol viewer, I can refresh myself here that there is this capsule, and that is, the part. This helps prevent phagocytosis. So a little bit of evasion. Preventing the phagocytosis also means it stays longer and can help contribute to symptoms. So that's where the capsule comes in. And then I just go look through. Here is the LOS, the lost flame right here. So it has a lipo-oligosaccharide, a pro-inflammatory compound. And that's, what we were talking about specifically in this question. Now, there's a lot of other high yield stuff. So now that I've identified this is really what I was looking for, I like to scroll through the symbols again and just, refresh myself. It's a maltose fermenter. I don't know if I necessarily would have remembered that. Scrolling through here, respiratory droplets, great. Military quarters and college dorms. I did remember that part. And then we talked about the lost flame, and we can also see the LOS in there leading to this lost flame over on this side. Here is the shock that is getting caused over here, the big lightning bolt causing the shock. Okay, so I remember that. A lot of things in the sketch that lead me to think that it was Neisseria meningitis, which is what it was. Really importantly, Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. This causes adrenal insufficiency, a big problem. These patients need steroids. So there's a lot of things, and I like to go through the sketch just quickly to refresh myself because there's a lot of components that are important and a lot of different things that Neisseria meningitis likes to cause. Meningitis likes to cause, other than just meningitis. So I like to, study up and learn a little bit more. So this was a little walkthrough on Neisseria meningitis, how to answer a board style question, and some important things on this sketch. Also, don't forget the rifampin rifle. I was doing a question the other day, randomly just going through questions because I'm weird in 4th year doing questions, and got asked this question of prophylaxis for Neisseria meningitis, and it's rifampin. So hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, and I will see you around.